My name is Dr. Ian Storch. I'm a board-certified gastroenterologist and osteopathic physician, and you are listening to DO or Do Not. If you're interested in joining our team or have suggestions or comments, please contact us at doordonotpodcast.com. Share our link with your friends and like us on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Hello, my name is Suzanne Char, and I'm a third-year medical student at Ohio University Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine, and you are listening to DO or Do Not podcast. Today we're joined by Dr. Richard Terry, a family medicine physician and the founding dean of Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, LECOM Elmira campus, who also holds the title of Assistant Dean of Regional Clinical Education. Dr. Terry shares how LECOM started the branch campus system and highlights the New York Elmira campus problem-based learning curriculum, which fosters collaboration and prepares students for medical practice. Dr. Terry shares insights about Elmira community and the early hands-on clinical rotations at a local hospital, starting as early as first year of medical school. He highlights the robust research opportunity available to students, as well as LECOM's missions to recruit New York State residents with passion for serving underserved communities. We also discuss the accelerated 6 years DO program in collaboration with Elmira College and explore LECOM's Elmira's 100% match rate for 2024, with 52% of graduates matching into New York hospitals. Join us as we learn how LECOM Elmira is working to shape the future of osteopathic medicine and preparing students to make a meaningful impact.
Richard Terry, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Richard, can you just start by telling us your title at LECOM and basically what you're doing right now?
So I'm at the Elmira campus. I'm the dean of the Elmira campus, the founding dean of the Elmira campus. In the system, I'm the associate dean of academic affairs at LECOM at Elmira. And we have just graduated our first class, actually. And I'm really excited about that, Ian. It's wonderful.
It's super amazing. So I'm going to give you just a little LECOM background, and I definitely want to circle back to it. It's aging me a little bit. I went to Nike. I started in 1999, and in 1998, when I was applying to osteopathic school, I had a roommate who wanted to go to medical school since he was like 4, and he applied. He had a great GPA. His MCAT ended up being a little less than what he expected, and he actually didn't get in, which was really sad. He is a physician now. He's amazing. But LECOM, but they had not graduated a class yet, the original mothership campus, and they actually took him off the wait list, and he ended up becoming an ER physician.
What was his name?
His name is Gary Popovetsky. Amazing, right? And he's very proud LECOM grad. So that's my thought when LECOM comes up. Can you talk to us to start maybe a little bit about branch campus? So LECOM started with that original campus around Lake Erie, and now you have 3 branch campuses, if I'm not mistaken.
So Ian, actually, LECOM was the first school to develop the branch campus, first one, Bradenton. And then we were the first school to develop what's called an additional location. And now we have 2 of those, one in Seton, which is near Pittsburgh, Seton Hill, and another one here in Elmira. So there is a difference. Basically, the additional locations were under the auspices of the main campus, and technically our faculty is part of their faculty and our administration is part of the same. And the branch campus kind of functions a little bit more autonomously, where they have their own faculty council and such, but they still, in our system, are under the umbrella of the larger Erie campus. But there's just a little technical accreditation aspects to whether you're a branch or additional, a little bit more independence and perhaps autonomy in the financial aid realm as a branch campus and from an accreditation. But otherwise, in the LECOM system, we all function very, very similar. One LECOM for all of our 4 campuses and our 650 students per class, 2,500 all 4 classes.
in general, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't seen that many MD schools that set up systems this way. Is there a reason why DO schools in general do it and why LECOM specifically did it?
Well, one, the additional locations were, when this was all started, a more economical way to start a campus in an underserved area. Now that's all changed with the COCA accreditation standards. It enabled expansion, I think, in a more expeditious fashion by having these accreditation standards. So it's not something that LCME has. They do have it, but I don't think it's quite as easy to perhaps start. And I'm just saying the accreditation standards are changing because there has been an increase in the number of class size, additional locations, branch campuses, especially with the clinical space, can be very limited. In some areas of the country, you may have a osteopathic school north, east, south, within 100 miles on each end. And there ain't that many hospital spots and rotations. And then, of course, it gets down to competitive residencies. And we both know how limited those can be. I think initially there was an economic advantage to doing that and an accreditation advantage that you could achieve this in a more expeditious fashion by having a branch or an additional location. I believe that will change with the new accreditation standards.
Richard, can you tell us a little bit about, before you wore this hat, I believe you started off by trying to help expand that graduate medical education spots for LECOM. Is that correct?
Well, I do, and I'm still the chief academic officer of a consortium, the LECOM Consortium for Academic Excellence. I'm the head of that, and we oversee the development of residencies all throughout. But yes, I've done that extensively. A good amount of my background is in graduate medical education. Even prior to LECOM, I was director of a residency and director of medical education where I developed some fellowships and other programs as well. But my background has largely been in that. So we continue to develop new graduate programs. It is challenging in the current accreditation environment. And quite frankly, the current financial environment facing hospitals to actually expand new programs. So it is a challenge, but I continue to do that along with, serving as the dean of this campus.
Okay, so talk to us a little bit, and I'd like you to brag a little bit if you can for students maybe that are interested. Can you tell us about the Elmira area? Can you tell us about the school there? Can you tell us about what you offer and why students should consider LECOM Elmira as their school of choice?
Well, we're very unique in that we're a problem-based learning campus. So basically, after anatomy, which is an immersive course for 12 weeks, you do problem-based learning, and that meets 2 hours a day, 3 times a week, with a facilitator who's often a physician or a PhD, maybe a nurse practitioner, in some cases a master's, but most of the time, half of our faculty are physicians, and you're learning your basic sciences in the context of a case-directed study. So you'll do your PBL session, problem-based learning. You'll go home and study 8 hours, do the reading. You'll come back 2 days later. The session continues. The case progresses. You go over the labs, the treatment. It is a very unique way to learn and very much akin and aligned with what we do in the clinical learning space. So I think PBL works very well for that. It also makes some of these very mundane facts more memorable about the Krebs cycle or whatever it may be, because you're learning in the context of a clinical scenario, much superior to the way that I learned, and perhaps you learned, in where you're just getting at a lecture and taking a lecture, a very siloed approach. This integrates physiology, pathology. I think the PBL is a very superior way to become a doctor. Obviously, we offer that here. Elmira is a wonderful community. I mean, most of our students walk to school. Can you imagine that, Ian? You're in Long Island. You walk to school. So 95% of the class walks to school from across the street. We're on the campus of Elmira College, which is every amenity of any major university. It's wonderful. So they have all of that available to them. And they literally are in the downtown of the city, able to walk to various eating establishments, social establishments that are well within less than a quarter mile away. So it's a very wonderful community, and LECOM is very much welcomed here. We have a significant role in the community in all we do here and in the role we play in community health, engaged in many, many levels. And finally, we have a hospital partner system in Arnott, which is literally 3/4 of a mile, where the bulk of our students are able to rotate as early as the first year, as early as the first year to have a clinical exposure. All of those things make it a very unique experience. And finally, we have an extensive residency network of hospitals. And for radiology, anesthesiology, we've been able to be very competitive because we have a significant number of affiliated residency positions, about 1,400 in our various hospitals. So many of our students, about a fourth, will match into a LECOM affiliate. So for those reasons, I think we have the package here. And I think that students get a wonderful education, have an opportunity then to match into competitive programs in competitive specialties, I might add.
As far as research, are there research opportunities that the school offers?
There are. We have a research lab, actually, basic science research lab. Just in our 4 years, we have about 52 publications in various peer-reviewed journals, but we are starting basic research. We also have a clinical research institute at the hospital to which we collaborate with. We also offer financial support for that, for faculty, students alike to contribute and develop research projects. So we do, believe it or not, have quite an active research arm as well, and up and coming on the basic science aspect.
Sounds awesome. All of these sound totally awesome. I can't imagine why a student would not want to come to LECOM with all of those.
What? Neither can I, for goodness sakes. And we get a lot of students. Our focus is on recruiting from underserved areas, both urban and rural. About 67% of my class is from New York State. About 42% is from upstate. We also have a fair number from downstate, from Manhattan and the other boroughs, and also some from Long Island. But the majority of our students, so at 84 out of 128 in the incoming class, are from New York. So we primarily do recruit from New York State. We want New York students. We want them to come back. We want them to come back and practice in our underserved rural and even urban areas that we have many.
Now, how much connection do you have, or do they interact with the other LECOM campuses, specifically the Founder School?
We absolutely do. We have students who rotate from our other campuses at our Arnett campus, our Rochester campus, our Utica campus. So actually on clinical rotations, you'll work with students from Seton, Erie, and maybe even the fourth year Bradenton students. So significant interaction, which is wonderful because it leads to different exposures of all of our students, and it's much appreciated. So our regional campuses, to which we have 3 large ones, we have Arnett, we have Rochester Regional, that's our largest clinical campus, 72 third-year students and 72 fourth-year students. That's 140 students in Rochester. Utica has about 70, Arnett has about 60, about 120 third and fourth year students. We're also partners with Guthrie and a number of other smaller systems in the area.
Richard, I was reading, and I'm pretty versed on 7-year medical programs, but I read somewhere that there's a 6-year medical program. Now, I don't know if that was a typo or if that's correct, but do you have a 6-year medical program?
That's no typo. It's the first and only 6-year program for osteopathic physicians in the country. 2 years at Elmira College, 4 years at LECOM Elmira, DO degree. I'm happy to say we have 12 students entering that program starting at Elmira College in the end of August for that very novel, innovative program to expedite the process of getting through medical school and college, save literally hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then hopefully come back and practice in an underserved area as a primary care physician. So the answer is we do have the program. It's with Elmira College. And it's beyond my wildest dreams, the level of interest in it that we've had applicants literally from all over the country, incredibly qualified students.
Amazing. And Richard, my last question about the school. So you just went through your first graduating class, and obviously that means your first match. Can you tell us a little bit about how many students you had and what the match looked like for you?
Again, we had 115 in the match, and we had 115 match in competitive specialties like anesthesiology, radiology, and general surgery. We did very well. The most popular specialty turned out to be internal medicine and psychiatry and family medicine and ER in that order. Not as much interest in primary care as I would hope, but I think that's changing in this upcoming year. So we did very well in the match. So 100% placement rate. We also did obviously very well in our boards as a new school, 95, 96% pass rate. So I'm very, very happy about that. And of course, LECOM historically has done both well in both those areas. So very pleased about that. We did well in the match, and 52% of those graduates, Ian, matched into a New York hospital, New York State hospital. And we know that if you go to residency, there's a 50% chance at least that you're likely going to practice somewhere within 50 miles of where you train to some extent.
All awesome, awesome facts. And congratulations on 100% match. That's spectacular.
We're really happy. This campus did very well, and we prepared our students well, and they matched well. They matched into very competitive places. Vanderbilt, second DO ever, and Brown. We had a few match into Brown, and then we had many match into our local affiliates, to which we're very happy. Arnett, we had 13, Guthrie, Rochester Regional, Utica. They match into very good programs. A lot of our students also matched at the University of Buffalo. We had a good number there too. So we were well represented everywhere, upstate, downstate, out of state.
Richard, we're going to shift gears a little bit and talk a little bit about you. Can you tell us where you grew up and when you decided you wanted to be a doctor and where you went to college?
Well, thank you, Ian. So I grew up in the Southern Tier in a small town of 600 people called Downsville. And when I finished, went to college at Alfred University, and I'm actually going back there in a week to get an award as their distinguished alumni. So that's right about an hour from here. Then I went to NICOM at the time, we called it. And I think it was NICOM when you were there.
It was, yep.
NICOM. So, and I graduated there and then did my residency as the first DO in family medicine ever at the University of Rochester. So that finished residency and then started practice in that small little town of Downsville, where I grew up. And that was in 1992. Practiced 1991, practiced there for 4 years, did OB, delivered a lot of babies, did medicine, did everything basically. Still have patients who still come here and see me in the half day of clinic that I have with students once a week. So that was nearly 28 years ago. But that was very special to me. I'm a family physician, and that pretty much defines the way I function, I think, in my role as an administrator, as the dean, and the way that I interact with people. It's just from that perspective and paradigm as a family physician.
Richard, a couple of questions just going back. So when did you first find out about osteopathic school and what made you decide to apply?
I was in college, and my grandmother's doctor, Dr. Pike, a prominent osteopathic physician, and his son was a DO as well in Albany. And I'd met him. He took care of my grandmother, and that's where I found out about osteopathic medicine and got involved and applied to NICOM, and was very happy to get in there at the age of 22, and then started medical school and finished and then residency. So I found out because of that reason. Otherwise, I would not have known what a DO was at that time if one had not treated my grandmother.
And how did you pick family practice as a specialty? Tell us about that.
It's a great question. I wanted to be a pediatrician for many years because my doctor, I was very close to him. Then for a brief period of time, thought critical care was cool. But I worked in my 4th year with a Dr. Bear. It's a role model for me. A Harvard-trained family physician who'd gone to University of Rochester. And when I saw the way he could talk to people, a brilliant man, and yet he would talk in the vernacular to these farmers. And I said, I want to be like him. I want to do that. And I want to go back to my community and make a difference. And I did that. So he really had a profound influence, along with my 3rd year experience with Dr. Joe Renders. Joe was a family physician who worked for NICOM, and he was in the old Baptist clinic. And just the impression he made on me caring for that very indigent population, comprehensive care they delivered, it was, it moved me and it influenced me towards primary care and the role we can play with healthcare, with our patients, but also in a larger, from a societal perspective.
And tell us a little bit, you trained at a big university hospital for family practice, and then you ended up going home to a small community to practice medicine. Did you know that you were going to do that? Like, how did you pick that job? How did that come about?
I knew I was going to go back. And I'd also received a scholarship from the state to go back for 4 years, a loan forgiveness. So for me, it made sense, and my family was there. And I wanted to be a rural family doctor. And truly, honestly, that was some of the happiest experiences of my life. I mean, I really enjoyed that. I realized after about year 2 or 3 that I wanted to get involved in academia. I wanted to teach and started teaching in the residency. And that evolved to, boy, we really need more doctors for the Southern tier. And thus led to eventually me founding the first and only medical school in the Southern tier of New York. So I just naturally felt that being a rural family physician was something that I just enjoyed, living in that community, taking care of those patients, and being that kind of all-in-one comprehensive doctor that took care of your kids, delivered your baby, took care of your grandmother, and had that connection. And that's remains very important to me.
So tell us a little bit about being a founding dean. We've interviewed a lot of deans on the podcast over the past 4 years, and all of them, I got to be honest, every dean that we've interviewed is spectacular. But I think most of the deans that we've interviewed have stood on the shoulders of giants and told us that. It sounds like you don't have any giants to stand on, right? So
That's
tell
not true
us.
at all. I have LECOM, Dr. John Ferretti, our president, and Dr. Sylvia Ferretti, our provost. I mean, they enabled this. They enabled us to do this additional location and believed in me and in Elmira for us to do this. And also, right along, provided guidance in the way to do this, because LECOM really is the expert in developing additional locations, having done the first and really kind of patented this formula for doing it. So no, I wouldn't say that at all. They were incredibly supportive of this to happen and, of course, capitalized the project. We did get a grant for $3 million, which is the largest ever in the Southern tier to build this school. But it was the willingness of LECOM to say, I mean, how do you have a medical school in Elmira? It's a city of 28,000 people. I mean, it's unprecedented. Yet, look what it's doing. It's serving an underserved area and providing physicians so critically needed for upstate New York. Where we are, it's hard to get an appointment with a primary care doctor and even harder to get a specialist. So very, very different worlds upstate, very underserved.
Again, a great story, and congratulations on everything that you've achieved. Amazing story. Our grand finale question, Richard, is can you give us one piece of advice that you were given from someone else that has been impactful on your journey and that you would like to share with our listeners?
I think that if you believe in something, it can be realized. Kind of like the old saying, Walt Disney said, if you believe in it, it will be. Well, that's true. You have to think that it's possible. Too many people say, no, you can't. And I hear no all the time. I say, wait a minute. If you think we can do this, then we can. That was advice that when I had started here, I was working with a man named Dr. Huffner. He was the CMO at the time. And I said, listen, I want to do a medical school here. And on his bookshelf, if you believe it, it can be. We looked over there, we pointed at it, and there it was. And that's always been my motto when people say no, because they say no most of the time. Hey, if I think I think this is possible, then it is. That's my advice. Don't doubt yourself. If you believe in it, you can do it. Hey, when everyone says, you can't do that, Rich. Well, I don't know. We got a medical school in Elmira. I think we can.
And you graduated your first class. Amazing.
Truly amazing.
Richard, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate you asking me to participate. Thank you.
This concludes our episode of Do or Do Not. Send all inquiries, comments, suggestions, and even let us know if there's someone you want us to interview to doordonotpodcast@gmail.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at Do or Do Not Podcast for updates. If you enjoyed our podcast, please share it with your classmates and administration. We have plenty of more interviews lined up, and we're excited to share them with you. This is Tian Yu Shea. Thank you guys so much for listening to to do or do not.